Alright guys, we're going to get started here with setting up Mach 3. And you're going to start here. You go to the Mach3support.com. Go to software, select Mach 3. Click your download link here, save it, download it, install it how you wish on your system. And then you're going to need to go to, for this specific kit, you're going to need to go to the NovaSun controller. And you can find it right here at this website. Scroll down. You'll find the manuals that you might need if you don't already have one. This is an old plugin, don't use this one. This bin file you'll need in a later date. So download that and save that somewhere. But click your version 2 plugin. Go ahead and save that. And that's gonna be, once you save that, you're gonna need to go to your files, wherever you installed your Mach 3 system at. Click on your Mach 3, click on plugins, and you're going to take that file that you downloaded from the NovaSun website and you're going to drop it into this file. This is what this is right here. You're going to need that for Mach 3 to be able to communicate with your controller. So open up Mach 3. Here is your main page. You hit tab here to, will pull your jog, your MPG mode, so you can jog and stuff on the screen. First thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go to configure, and you are going to go to configure plugins, and you're going to have this NovaSun plugin. You're going to need to click it. And then you might, if you have your machine hooked up, you might hear your stepper motors click. That's a good sign that it's communicating. So now you're going to need to start with the very first thing. Select your date of units. Stick with millimeters, because that's what everything and all these programs and everything, they're based on millimeters, so it's just easier to stay on that. And it's easier to configure this whole thing using millimeters. All right, so ports and pins, this is one of your major menus that you're going to need to work with. Click on that, and right here, this should all be already set. So if it's not, make it look like this. Click a port 1, 25 megahertz or hertz, motor outputs. So if you're doing this setup the exact same way that I have shown you in the videos, all these settings should work perfectly. If you are doing anything different, you're going to have to play with it and figure out how you're going to have your motor set up, what directions you're going to be doing, and all that. You're going to want all these axes enabled, because this is your y-axis and your a-axis is your both for your y, but it still needs to communicate with the a, even though it's going to be acting as y. And then this is for the direction. This is going to make sure that whenever you're scrolling here on your X, it's going to be going positive away from the homing position. The y-axis is, you're going to need the a-axis and the y-axis. They need to be the exact same, depending on whatever your setup is. Z-axis, this will be negative down, positive up. If you want that reversed, if you want to use positive is going down into the cutter, then you would unclick this. Spindle, click on that. We're not doing that right now, but these are the settings that you're going to need to use for the spindle on our next episode. So click the spindle, low and step low. You'll hit apply if you change anything. Okay, so I'm using homing switches. If you're using limit switches, if you've got additional switches, that's what these will be. You can also use a homing switch as a limit switch, but that's not the way I'm using mine. So again, if you've got everything set up exactly the way that I showed you, and you're doing the exact same setup, doesn't necessarily matter what size table you have. If you're doing the same sort of setup, X home switch enabled, pin 3, active low. Y home switch enabled, pin 4, active low. Z home enabled, pin 5, active low. Go down a little further. I don't think there's anything else here. Oh, your probe. Probe is going to be enabled, pin 2, and active low. That means that it's only gonna register a signal whenever the two connect instead of apart. And then your E-stop enabled, port 1, pin number 1. Output signals. This is for your spindle. Got output 1 and output 2. They're going to both be on port 2. Output 1's on pin 1. Output 2 is on pin 2. Click on this in BG1. That'll give you able to use this. Spindle setup. All right. So you're going to disable spindle relays. Output 1, output 2. Clockwise is output 1, counterclockwise output 2. Use spindle motor output. PWM control. Start right here with your base frequency of 2083. That might change depending on your setup and after you calibrate your spindle, but this is where a good place to start. Disable. 5 seconds on all these, and make sure this is clicked. Intermittent relay. And then we're good on there. Motor tuning. My machine is not hooked up right now, but these are the settings. Your individual settings are going to be different. You're going to need to play with this, the velocity and the acceleration. Everybody's setup is going to be different. So, but this is a good baseline to start from. This is 155, 300, and 1277 other steps. The only one that is different is the Z. Steps are the same, velocity and acceleration are the only things that are different. Should note each access, you'll have to click save access after each one. So set your Z settings, click save. Y, set your settings, hit save. General configurations. This is going to be stuff that you'll be messing with as you get into more complex projects. But if you take a look at this screen, this is a good starting point. Homing limits. This part will be different for each one of you. These settings will be this if you use the same exact setup that I have. All right, guys, that is it for this one. If you have any comments or questions about it, go ahead and leave those below and I'll get back to you. Hopefully this helps you. Next, we'll be doing the spindle setup and the inverter programming. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.